Hi folks, Russell Longcore here, coming to you from www.claimsecrets.com. I am an insurance claims consultant, and I show people how to take control of their insurance claims instead of letting the insurance companies control the claims process. Because here's what I know. The devil is in the details of the claims process. If you don't know the claims process, the insurance company is going to run over you like a fullback coming through the line in football season. And I'm so glad that we're back at football season. This is being shot in the middle part of August, and we've already seen some exhibition games, and I'm just excited about that because thank God football season is back. But I digress. Today we're going to be talking about the 2013 hurricane season. This is part of a series I've done like in 4 or 5 different videos, little short clips, talking to you about the coverages that you have, and now is the time that you ought to be taking a look at the coverages that you have so that you're not caught flat-footed if the hurricane season blows up. We get a big storm that comes ashore, you know, up the eastern seaboard, or comes into the Gulf and tears something up, or tears up Florida, or tears up the Caribbean. You don't want to be that person that doesn't have the right kind of coverage once the claim has to be filed. Now's the time to figure that out. And in this little series of videos, the first thing we've talked about is coverage A, which is the dwelling. And we also talked about the business coverage A, which is the building. We talked about limits. We talked about coverage B, which is the other structures. We talked about deductibles. We talked about coverage C, which is the contents. Today we're going to talk about coverage D, as in David, which is the loss of use coverage, or otherwise known as the additional living expense coverage. Now that's normally figured by the insurance companies at 20% of the face amount, or the policy limit of coverage A, which is the dwelling. So if you had a $300,000 house, for example, 20% of that's $60,000. So your coverage D amount would be 20%. It would be $60,000. Okay, now that may or may not be enough to take care of you if you're out of your house after a catastrophe like a fire or a hurricane or a tornado or something like that, because you may be out of your house for, well, if you have a really nice house and it's extensively damaged, you may be out of your house for 6 months or more, sometimes even a year, simply because in a catastrophic situation, you're not the only person on your block that has problems. You know, you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of homes around you that are also looking to have their repairs done. So the market, the market speaks, and supply and demand speaks. And if there's a whole bunch of damage and not very many contractors, you're going to wait a while. And you may be out of your house for quite a while. So you need to make sure that the amount of your additional living expenses or other or loss of use coverage is enough. Now let's talk a minute about additional living expenses and what that really means. First thing you need to do is read your policy. You need to go find that policy in the bottom of the junk drawer, or in your safe deposit box, or your safe, or your file cabinet, wherever it is. Pull your policy out and read about additional living expense and what it actually means to you. But let me tell you about some of the things that's not in the policy that actually is covered. And I'll just give you some overviews. This is like the view from 30,000 feet. Think about after the loss as opposed to before the loss. If you're incurring expenses after the loss because of the loss, then those expenses are covered additionally. For example, you ate at home 7 nights a week when you before the loss. But now, because you can't live in your house, you have to eat it in the restaurants 7 nights a week. Okay, well, in that kind of a situation, the insurance company the adjuster would try and work with you and figure out what your average food cost was, or per week or per month, and then anything over and above that would be covered. So it's additional living expenses. You get it? Okay. But let's talk about some of the other things that you don't think about. If you had to find a place to live that's further away from school, further away from your place you work, and you have to drive back and forth to your house, you have to drive additional miles that you didn't have to drive that you normally do, all of those miles are covered, and you can get that from your policy. Here's another one that's kind of obscure that people don't think about. Pets. If you have to board your pet because you can't live at home, I know a lot of people that go into like a Residence Inn or someplace like that, and they can't have their pets there, and they have to take their pets and board them someplace during the recovery period. Well, those expenses are covered because, you know why? Because they're additional living expenses. Were it not for the loss that you experienced, you wouldn't have to incur that cost. So keep that in mind. Anything that you can think of that you're spending extra money on, were it not for that loss, is likely going to be covered under the terms and conditions of your policy. Now, you may have to fight for this because the adjusters don't like this coverage. They don't like to have to deal with it. They don't like all the little tiny ass receipts that you're going to accumulate, and they're gonna have to paw through all that kind of stuff, make a spreadsheet, and try to figure it out. You know, they don't like that kind of stuff because it makes them actually work. But yes, I'm cynical, but I've been around the business 20-something years, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. But my point is, during the period that you're outside your home and you're using your additional living expense, which means, by the way, well, let me finish that thought. During the period that you're outside your house, that you're using your additional living expense, keep a log of every dollar that you spend every day. I mean, go to Walgreens or something like that and get a notebook and start writing in that, and keep the receipts for every penny that you spend. Get a receipt for everything. I don't care if you buy a bottle of water. You get a receipt for it, and you find a box or one of those accordion files or something like that, and you start putting all those receipts in there. And don't you miss this. This could mean hundreds, even thousands of dollars that you'll get paid, you'll get reimbursed, if you'll just keep really good records. Now, another thing about additional living expense is this: if you're living in a very nice home, a luxury home, for example, you're entitled to live in a replacement house that is at least comparable to what you're living in. In other words, don't let an insurance company put you into a cheap motel, an extended stay motel, a small apartment, something like that. I mean, that may keep you indoors temporarily, and that's fine. But if you're going to be out of your house anywhere from, let's say, 3, 6 months, or a year, the insurance company will actually be happy to put you into a house rental or a big apartment rental, something like that, because they'll save money over the amount that it would cost them to put you in a nice hotel. So there are companies out there that actually specialize in temporary accommodations. As a matter of fact, one of the companies is called temporaryaccommodations.com. So when you're doing additional living expenses, just remember that there are a whole bunch of things that are eligible to be additional living expenses that you'll never think of. And let me do this. Let me bring this to a close, because I don't want these things to run on too long. If you look below this video, you'll see links to my website and links to Amazon. You can buy my book at either of those places. I cover additional living expenses extensively in the book Insurance Claim Secrets Revealed. So you need to know this. You need to know it before the 2013 hurricane season goes any further and blows up a big storm that may affect you. So look below this link. Click on one of the links. Go to either claimsecrets.com or Amazon. Buy my book. If you go to Amazon and buy it as a Kindle download, you can be reading that book in 5 minutes or less. That's pretty cool. So, and that's like $10. Well, $9.99. Okay. So this is Russ Longcore. This is I'm bringing this to an end. I think I've talked about as much about the hurricane season as I can think of at this point. If I think about something else, you'll see another video. So thanks much. This is Russ Longcore, Insurance Claims Consultant. www.claimsecrets.com. Thanks much for watching. See you later.